always want to have a really big life, wanted a good life. And I realized the way to do that, I guess, is through experiences. And to have those experiences, you kind of need money.
You've been doing this stuff since you're, like 27? It's inspiring to see you go so hard after it and do it.
If you want to go places, you can't worry about someone else's feelings, unfortunately. You've got to run your portfolio like a business when you're trying to scale it.
750K in capital growth in 18 months. Man, some people can't even earn that in a year, let alone save that in a year. Was that the goal from the whole time? Tom Hardwick, welcome to the Moves to Momentum podcast. Mate, you're one of my first ever clients at Buyer's Edge. So it's so nice to have you on the podcast. You're one of the day ones. We want to unpack your personal story. You got the business, you got your property portfolio going, the lessons you've learned along the way, and why you're all doing this. But man, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me on, Jace. It is nice to be here. I think, I was one of your first original clients. And it's exciting to unpack it because before I came on here, I didn't really know too much about my own portfolio. So I've done a bit of research into it and learnt a lot more. So it's exciting to unpack.
It happens like that, eh? Like you're building the property portfolio and you're just like, that's a good deal. It's an opportunity. All right, I'll take it. And then opportunities come up and what have I got? What am I doing? It seems funny to say that, huh?
Yes. Yeah, it does though. And it is good to look back, and it's just been really fast paced, right? It hasn't been a long time. It's just been picking up deals here, there. So it is good to see where I'm at and then take a bit of a step back and to look at what's forward as well.
Do you mind if I prod you a little bit, like peel back some layers? Because you're like the most common client that we work with here at Buyer's Edge, business owner, either aspiring to be family man, settle down or something like that in the next few years, or they are that already. Like that's the kind of person that we seem to attract here. Normally business owners or people who are high up in some type of career. When you first got into all this stuff, what got you into it? Why did you start to do it?
I think I kind of, I've always had a bit of a thing about getting ahead. Always want to have a really big life, wanted a good life. And I realized the way to do that, I guess, is through experiences. And to have those experiences, you kind of need money,
Yeah.
A lot of, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, I guess, to make ends meet and do things, right? And I never wanted to be that kind of person. So I think the way to get there was to have money. How do you get money?
Yeah.
Investing. And I've tried a lot of different ways of investing, shares, crypto, had an e-commerce store, seed company investments. So I've tried it all and never really found anything that stuck until I landed myself, buying a deal and properties.
Shit. How good's that, man?
It is good. So
and you're how old are you? Late 20s?
29 next month.
Man, I know guys that are in their 40s, man, that haven't even had a swing of the bat, and you're having a swing of the bat at crypto, stocks, seed, angel investing, investing in startups. That is, but where did it? Before we go into that a bit deeper, your personal story. You're still a young dude. How'd you go to school? Like, what was it like growing up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Southern Shire, had a pretty good family life, high school, I think, I was bullied early on in high school. So I think that kind of broke me down a little bit, and I always wanted to kind of prove something, maybe to other people and myself. So I feel like that really kind of got things going. And then once I left school early to become a mechanic, I wanted to race cars, but I couldn't afford it. I had a go-kart.
Like a Piastri?
Yeah.
You know a Piastri?
Yes.
No way!
So I had a go-kart, but I couldn't afford to get it to the races, right? I would go out to the practices and then it would break down. Then I got an engine rebuild. So I sunk all of my money into that, right? So, and then I moved into being a mechanic because it was the next best thing. I wanted to be a mechanic for a pit crew, for V8 supercars or F1 or something. But never quite made it that far. But then I guess, along the way, I kind of got a little bit comfortable doing some things.
Yeah.
Then with... I think there was a few times where I think one of my ex's mums was like, hey, how are you going to support a family on this mechanic's wage income, stuff like that. So I think that was a bit of a turning point for me where I was like, shit, I need to start making some money. How am I going to make money?
Wow.
And that's where I started, I guess, looking at, different ways in investing.
So you're just like a mechanic locally?
Yes. So just down in Kirrawee.
Okay.
So we got Range Rover. So my business is Range Rover Specialist. It's been running now for about 7 years.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so it's been a good
But
fun.
you're 29, so you started that business when you were 22 years old.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of like stuff, before work, after work, weekends, cashies, all that. And then it got to a point where, I was earning probably 6 or 7 times my income
With
after
the
work.
cashies.
Yeah. So I had a contract with a prestige car dealership.
Yeah.
Right. Through, the start of COVID, I was doing a lot. So I was doing a lot of Range Rovers like every day. And then I, left my full-time job and thought, okay, here we go. This is sweet.
Okay.
And then I ended up losing a contract with this prestige dealership, and I kind of went back and had nothing. So I had to kind of build my business from there, so it's been
That's
a ride.
wild, man. Let's take a couple of steps back. So I want to go back to the go-karting, man. I'm a big Formula One lover. And when did you pack that in? Was that like in your teens? You're like, no, I'm not doing this anymore?
Yeah, I was about 16. I had the go-kart. I was running for about a year, in and out of practice and stuff. I got down quick enough to be on the track because there's certain times you need to be they allow you to race with, the races. So I was hitting that in practice, but I just couldn't consistently keep the go-kart running. So
it's expensive, eh?
Yeah. So I finished that up about, 17. And that was when I pretty much left school and then got the full-time job.
So you were like on the brink of competing quite seriously.
Yeah. Well, that's what I really wanted to do. I mean, I don't know. I was up there probably with, the go-kart guys, like the racers. I don't know how I would have gone doing it. I would have liked to think I would have done well. But, yeah.
Unreal, man. And so it's getting too expensive to run the go-karts. Nah, sweet. We're just going to go all in on the mechanic trade.
Yep.
And did you finish school? Like, what'd you do?
I left school in the end of year 11. So, yeah, left school in year 11, went full-time, yeah. And then I finished my apprenticeship I got signed off in 3 years. So at that time I was about 20.
Yeah.
And then I ended up leaving that. I went to the airport working on heavy diesel and doing a bit of like fitting tracking systems to the ground support equipment. And then did about 3 months of that and didn't like it. And I realized I'm going to go back to Range Rover and then pretty much start my business on the side, and then it kind of went from there.
Love it, man. Heaps of people have asked me to ask you, when did you get the stash?
Oh, this has been going probably only the last 6 months or so.
Last 6 months, okay.
Yeah, so
because I thought maybe that was also from back then too. Early days, maybe late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, I wish I couldn't grow this until about 6 months ago, so that's why I've got it.
Nice.
But no, now my missus says she likes it, so not this long, I don't think. But now I can grow it. I like it.
Okay, awesome, bro. And man, you finally get the nerve, I don't know, like you get the courage to start up your business, or maybe it's just the cash. You make it so much cash from the side hustle that it's got to become the main thing. And then you get the real kick in the balls straight away. Boom, lose the contract. What happened? Like, explain that to us, because that would rattle anyone, man.
Yeah, I guess I was probably pretty lucky because I think I was about 23 at the time when this was, and I was living at home still, so my expenses were pretty low. So I was doing maybe like 1 car a day, I was doing letterbox drops to like try and get customers. I tried Facebook ads, had no idea what I was doing. I was losing a lot of money on Facebook ads. So I put it all through, and then I kind of, did that for about 6 months, and it wasn't really going anywhere. And then I kind of was getting smashed with tax bills because I was doing my own bookkeeping, but I was double counting everything. So I was double paying tax and GST on everything. So then I kind of sat down and said, look, I really need to, I'm 23 now. I need to work out what I'm going to do. It felt like a midlife crisis when I was 23. I broke up with my partner at the time and kind of just said, I need to really give this a good go, and kind of went pretty much all in from there.
Wow.
And then, I guess 12 months after that, I hired my first employee.
And at this stage, did you have the lease at Kirawee at that stage?
No. So there's a bit of a story to that as well. So I was in a mobile van. So because it was COVID, I was servicing people's cars in their driveways. That was, I guess, what I was going for. And then I put another guy on 12 months later with another van. We were running around in vans. And then I ended up getting a workshop in Rockdale, or Arncliffe, sorry. Mm-hmm. And I was there for about 6 months until, I won't go into too much detail, but one day I came in and the guy I was subleasing off had actually taken his life inside like our workshop.
Oh, shit.
Like with the car. So, and it turns out we weren't supposed to be subleasing. So the owner came in pretty much the next day and just came in, changed all locks, locked all of our stuff in there with customers' cars in there, pretty much everything. So
Bro, you've been through some stuff already.
So that took, so I had to restart again, pretty much. Found a workshop that I bought. I was working in a mate's workshop for about 4 weeks. We transported all the cars over there, finished them off, and then I secured where I am now. But I had to pay a very large sum to take over someone else's lease to get in there. But since then, it's been, bit smoother sailing, which has been good.
Bro, within the first year of your business, you're just taking shots.
Yeah, I think I was pretty naive, to be honest. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing, what I was getting myself into. And I've always been pretty positive. Like, I've always been known that I can make things work if something goes sideways. So it didn't really affect me too much at the time, which is strange. Looking back now, I just don't know.
What's this guy doing?
Yeah.
He just keeps going.
So it's been a bit of a ride, but where I am now, it's definitely been worth it now. We've got a team of like 7 guys, revenue, like profits are doubling every year and like revenue's just growing. So
that's unreal.
So it's been good.
Is that because Range Rovers are
not very reliable?
Not reliable. Everyone says that on the
internet. Yes, that's part of the reason. I mean, they're not as bad as people say.
Yeah.
Half the reason is getting someone good to look after them, and then the other half is, I think, the customer service from when things do go wrong. Because things do go wrong, but if you look after people the right way and you know how to fix them, which is what we do, we don't have too many complaints.
And you're just in Kirrawee?
Yeah, we're just in Kirrawee.
Oh, unreal. What's your business name?
It's Rover X.
Rover X.
Rover X.
Rover X. And when did the property investing start? Because I think I met you in 2024.
Yes, I think, or early 25. But I think we might have spoken. Was it 24? Yeah. But so that started really, one of my friends had a unit in Miranda, probably. He used first homeowner's grant to get in, and he bought that place, had it for like 2-3 years, and then he, I guess, made no money on it. And then he bought a place in Perth. And then that kind of got the conversation going to me. Hey, when are you going to, because we're very similar minded. Hey, when are you going to get a place, And I brought it up to my parents. My mum's like, no way. Perth? No way.
Why'd you do that?
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of shut me down for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of money going through at that time. And then I guess my friend then pulled all his equity out of his Perth one and bought in Melbourne about the end of 2024.
Let's go.
And was like, he kind of told me about how it worked, how to get into it. And then we were just searching realestate.com, ended up finding a place on there. It was like a 3-bedroom house, the granny flat out the back.
Remember the place in Deer Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes, for like $650,000, right? And I was like, how does that make sense? Like you can't get that anywhere around here for something
in
like
Sydney.
that.
Well, Deer Park's not far from Melbourne City.
It's like 20 minutes. Yeah, it's not. So that made a lot of sense to me. And looking at, I guess, the rental yield isn't great. It's still it's close to 5%, which is still pretty good compared to here, right? So that was, I guess the start of the journey. And then I think I came and spoke to you not long after that because I got smashed with I didn't read the reports properly. Had a lot of troubles with the property.
I find this happens a bit. I get the Tom Hardwick phone call. Hey, I've got some information and I acted on it, which is good. You want people to do that. And then to paraphrase you bought the place and it had a granny flat at the back. But from memory, it wasn't council approved and you couldn't officially sublet it. Like you couldn't lease it out on a separate lease to the main dwelling. And the numbers look good on paper if you're renting them out separately, but it's hard to do that. And then all of a sudden you're now renting it to a real small portion of the market that wants to put Nana out the back or the kids out the back and pay a higher rent, which agents do that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And what was there a lesson in that or?
Yeah, definitely. I think, looking into that, when I was buying it, the agent was like, yeah, all good. Like you can, rent it out separately, this, that, the other. And then like the same property manager that I used through the company was like, no, you can't do that. And then, so definitely a lesson.
What would you say that for?
Yeah, definitely listen, be careful, listening to selling agents because they just want to sell the property. So
for goodness sakes, your brother's selling agent.
Yes, he is. Down at Highland. So
he's selling up a storm out here.
He's one of the good ones, I think. He's pretty good.
But Will works with Riley, and those boys are just like, every time I see him, listen.
I know. They're real busy. I mean, we'll probably get into it, but they just sold one of my other properties last week down in Cronulla.
The apartment?
Yes. So I sold that. So, which, I mean, that was, when I bought it compared to now the market's changed a bit, and, they still got me a really great result,
The boys.
So
I think when I met you as well, I think you had just done the deal in Deer Park, and then you had a contract on that place. And you were waiting for it to be built or something.
So that's a different one. But yes, that's still being built.
That's still being built.
I know I jumped probably past that one, but I try not to count it.
Because it hasn't been built yet?
It hasn't been built yet. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with it. Okay.
Can we rip through your portfolio quickly?
For sure.
You've got Deer Park.
Yep.
Number one.
Deer Park, number one.
And you paid $650 for that.
$655 for that one.
$655. 55, Deer Park. What else you got?
So next one was the deal that we put together in Mount Clear.
Yep, in Ballarat.
Yes, that was that. And what paid for that? I think we were $495 paid for that one.
Yep.
And then next one would be the one unit I've got in Cronulla, which is in Marlow Road.
Cronulla.
That was $1,030,000.
$1,030,000.
And then I've got a place up in Eleonora in the Gold Coast.
GC.
And that was 1.43.
Yep.
Then we've got a unit up in Driver in Crammer.
Driver, yep. In Darwin?
Yes, in Darwin. And that was 382,500.
Nice.
And then what's the last one? Traralgon.
Yep.
Going down there. That was 670.
670. 4B2.
Yes. And last one, we've got another one up in Darwin, which is a house, this one. And that was 710.
Yeah, nice. That's a big place, that one. And then the Cronulla apartment still to be built has got an asterisk next to it.
That's got an asterisk next to it. Yeah, just don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that yet. My strategy has changed since, that was obviously the first one I got. And then since then, I like the strategy of, rent investing and, buying interstate.
Let me just quickly do the maths of the original purchase prices. Do you have on you the market value of what they're all worth now?
Yeah, portfolio value is 6.1.
All right. So your property portfolio would be worth just a bit over 5.3 million on purchases that you've done. How long did it, from when you did Deer Park, that was end of 24, start of 25?
End of 24, so it's about 18 months.
18 months. You built a 7-property portfolio in 18 months, man. That's wild. That's the same type of risk-taking that someone in their early 20s is starting up a brand new business, in a couple of vans.
Yeah.
That's unreal, man. That's worth, let's call it 5.3 million purchases. And now what's your property portfolio worth now?
So it's sitting around 6.1.
6.1 million.
Yeah.
So you've made in 18 months. What are we talking? I'm just going to quickly do the maths.
It's 750, I think, somewhere around that.
750K in capital growth in 18 months. Man, some people can't even earn that in a year, let alone save that in a year, Was that the goal from the whole time?
Yeah, I guess it comes back to, I've always wanted, money in some way or the other, and I've just found the right vehicle now. This just makes so much sense to me, and I've always had a real appetite for risk.
Yes.
This, at times, I've drained the bank account, so I've over leveraged myself to get to this point. But now I'm coming, a bit out of the other side of it, and I don't think I'll probably do that again. I'll probably be a bit smarter in the way I do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a ride.
It's been a ride. And they're all very different, man. You're talking Melbourne Metro. You're in Ballarat. You're in Cronulla. You're in the Gold Coast. You're in regional Vic. Again, you're in Darwin. You're across a lot of areas. Can you tell us what are the 5 biggest lessons you've got from building your property portfolio?
I guess, look, definitely I've had some big lessons with that first Deer Park property that I bought, listening to the selling agent, listening to whatever they say. I guess I would have liked to, done my own research a bit further or, had a bit more of an idea, get get some more knowledge, I guess, would definitely be up there.
More knowledge.
And then
Doing a bit more research.
Yeah. Definitely. When you're playing with that kind of money, I think, listening to the right kind of knowledge and a bit more research.
Yeah. What else?
Then I guess getting the right team around you, definitely big when it comes to, structuring, debt correctly through, the right broker and a good accountant too.
Yeah.
And I guess as well, like buyer's agent comes into that as well. Like people, talk about, the fees are expensive to do so.
Cheers.
But I think it pays for itself in more ways, than anything, right? Like you get it generally most time on the way into the deal, and then everything is just so simplified, It's like it makes the process much easier.
Well, you've done the process 7 times last 18 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
it's getting the right team around you. How many times have you changed accountant or broker?
So I've been with the same broker from day one, and he has dealt with clients who are building portfolios, which definitely helped. And he knew how to structure things and which way and what's possible and what's not possible.
Nice.
Accountant, look, I've had 3 different accountants in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Because, I just haven't found someone, I guess, that, understands what I'm trying to do, So now I think, I've definitely got the right team around me now.
Unreal, huh? And it's funny that when I talk to people at the start, they're like, I've got this accountant, I want to use them. But there's some trust. And the idea of like getting all of that context that you've given that accountant, having to rebuild that context with someone else is sometimes like a bit of a barrier for people to change.
Yeah.
Then it's like just the frustration of dealing with that and moving things over and meeting someone, even finding someone is difficult. But I find that when people are doing what you're doing, going hard, building a property portfolio, trying to build their wealth, you quickly start leveling up. And it's like, how do I build the people around me that understand what I'm trying to do, as opposed to like keeping this friendship or relationship? Do you ever deal with that?
Yeah, look, I try not to now. Like my broker with me, like I call him once a week. We're on the phone talking. I probably annoy him too much. I'm saying, what can we do? Can we revalue these properties now? Like what can we get doing and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was, I guess, originally a little bit tricky to swap, leave my accountants. But I guess it's probably the best decision that I've made, just to take that jump, and it's definitely worth it.
Did you feel weird? Like, did you feel like bad about it?
Yeah, a little bit from the second one, because I'd come to him and said, look, I've just, he wasn't performing and all this. And then he was kind of like, oh, look, I'll take care of you. I can do all this. And unfortunately, he couldn't. So I did feel a little bad. But you got to do it. At the end of the day, if you want to go places, you can't, worry about someone else's feelings, unfortunately.
You got to do it.
It's business. Like, at the end of the day, like, kind of run, got to run your portfolio like a business when you're trying to scale it.
I feel like sometimes people say that, and that's their reason to act like a dickhead. What I admire about you is that you push and you're pushing and you're pushing, but you are very relationship driven. Yeah. Like, I think when a relationship is strong, you understand it, but you don't burn anyone.
Yeah.
Which I really like, And some people are like, you got to do what you got to do. Oh, that's business. And then they just treat people like absolute dogs. And you're like, bro, what are you treating me so bad for?
Yeah, no, that's not fair, for sure.
What other lessons you got?
Look, I think touching on that from a business side of thing is always put yourself on, I guess, the other side of the desk, like would you be happy with, what you're telling me, or, with that outcome? Which probably something I learned from my dad, because my dad works with me and he's been in customer service probably, 20 years or so.
Yeah.
He's always said, look, put yourself on the other side of the desk. Are you happy with that? And if you are, then, you've done everything you can. And, if they're still not happy with that, then look, unfortunately, there's nothing else you can do, right? But at least you've tried.
Yeah. And that's a bit of a business lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Can you give me maybe not the lesson, but maybe the lesson of what you've learned from buying metro markets, regional markets, small dollar, you're talking a 382 here, you're talking a 495 here, to like a 1.4 million. Or is there difference in assets? Sometimes people say to me, I've got a $1.5 million pre-approval, can I just buy one? It feels easier. It feels more simple to do that. What's your maybe advice or guidance or experience?
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends. It comes with different things. Like that Gold Coast one, which is definitely my biggest one. It's got, that costs, the most. It's the most I'm negative on per month, I would say. It costs me the most. And the maintenance on that is definitely, a lot more than all of the other ones.
How much does it cost you, if I can ask? And then how much does your total portfolio cost you per month?
So because I signed the contract to the Gold Coast one with no finance approval and with no cooling off period, I had to
bold move.
Well, it was kind of up for grabs and there were so many people that wanted it. And I knew I could get the finance approval. It was just a matter of if I could do it in time. So to get it, we had to go to a second tier lender, low doc. So it was in the 9s, that interest rate, and I did 10% deposit. So at the moment, it's about 10 grand a month in repayments and the rental's close to 5. So negative about 5 grand a month on that.
Ooh, yeah.
But I've got it refinanced and it's settling soon, which will bring it back down to about 6.5%, which should, keep about 3 or 4 grand in my pocket each month. So yeah, overall currently the portfolio is negative. It's pretty negative. It's about 150 grand negative at the moment. Per year.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of 10% loans with other lenders to basically, 10% no LMI loans, right? For the last few. So they're pretty up there.
Yeah. And I look at that, right? And that sounds hefty, right? 150K negative per annum. But I'm not going to do the maths. But we could do it. In the 18 months that you've held this property portfolio, you've made 750K with the capital growth. You're spending 150 to make 750. Well, it'll actually be a bit less because if you annualize it, we can cut it and just say 500. Right, you spend 150 to make 500. You still put in your pocket 350. That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like a few of my friends, I guess, have laughed at the interest rates that I've gotten, right? And laughed at how negative it is. But again, think of it that way, right? Like, yeah, okay, spend 50, 150, make 350, It's a no-brainer for me. And that's why I'll pretty much continue to pretty much buy as much as I can and until I can't afford the negative cash flow,
That's unreal. And you like the whole way along this, you've had an investor mindset. What am I putting in? What am I getting out? What am I putting into? What am I getting out? And what's the goal now for your portfolio? Like, what are you looking at doing now? Because you said you've changed your perspective on things. You wouldn't do it the same as what you've done it.
Yeah, so I'm just looking now recently, sold my unit in Cronulla that I was living in. So I will look at, and now I'm trying to work out what to do with, the big development, the new development that's happening. Looking at maybe possibly trying to move that on as well. And then looking at Can
I ask why? Why are you freeing up those two?
I want to use that to redeploy into other markets, growth markets.
Okay.
Right. So that's the plan, to use that capital, go buy a few more, as many as I can.
It might seem like a silly question, but why? I'm trying to pull it out for the listeners so it makes absolute sense. Because this guy's got 2 apartments in Cronulla, good area, in Sydney. Why is he getting rid of them to deploy the money somewhere else?
I guess it just makes so much sense to me. In those markets, you can just make so much more growth, like in Cronulla, yes, they're nice areas, nice apartments, but the growth that you'll get on that asset, is not really anything you can get in these other markets. And it really ties you up.
Give us some numbers, bro. Give us some numbers. Give us some numbers on what you made in Ballarat. What's Ballarat grown in the last 12 months?
Ballarat in the last 12 months grown probably close to 20%, 100 grand,
20%?
Yeah. So with that, the all-in costs, for that property, we think we did about 20% was 120 grand. And then, if you go and park that into a place in Cronulla, it's not going to move, maybe 3, 4, 5%, not even, right? So,
can we peel back the layer of Cronulla? It might be a bit. You bought it for $1.30 million. What did you sell it for?
Sold it for $130,000. Which is very rare, I think.
Yeah. Good result from the lads.
Very. So, look, my brother pushed really hard to get that result. And I think we got it off market originally for a good buy. That's the only reason I bought it, to live in, renovate it, then flip it, use that money, to redeploy.
You've bought that at a similar time frame as you bought Ballarat. and you made 100K off both of them basically.
Mm.
But your total funds required to buy the unit, how much would you have put in with stamps and deposit? Well,
I think, look, that cost me probably close to 150 for about 10%, and it's negative, $5,500 a month to hold that unit, right? Whereas the Ballarat place, I'm at a couple $100, per month, and it's grown,
So you made 100K on both of them, and you've put in less money. Your cash on cash return on Ballarat is almost 100%. You put in 100 grand, or you put in 120, and you got out 100. That's pretty good.
100%. And it makes a lot of sense doing that to me. And that's why I will probably not buy my own primary residence yet. Eventually that is the goal, right? Where you can buy your dream home, I think, because there's a lot of costs going into, buying a place now to live in, right? Stamps, the interest is through the roof, and then selling costs, all of that, it just doesn't really make sense to me.
We spoke about that quickly, and I just want to drill down on it, which is cash on cash return. I think that is the best measurement of a investment. How much money did I put in? Because we did speak about, okay, you bought this place for $495, whatever, blah, blah, but you didn't pay. $495 didn't come out of your pocket to pay it. You only put a deposit down, you got a loan for the rest, and then you've got some servicing to manage that loan. But I believe that's the best measurement. And you getting rid of the Cronulla apartment and the other Cronulla apartment to deploy money, you made 20% of Ballarat. What are the people that you do talk to that aren't property investors, what do they say about that? You made 20% on a property. And I know all these other locations too. You probably would have made high teens, if not 20% as well on all the others.
Yeah, I think, look, people struggle to, I guess, understand and things that they can't see as well. They like to want to see it, touch it, feel it. And a lot of them hear advice from their parents and stuff too. It's a very different time, back gosh, I sound old, but back in the day,
back in my day,
previous generation, our parents were buying places, and they've tripled, quadrupled around here, right?
Yeah,
which is not likely to happen for us, and the interest rates have gone through the roof, and the costs of going into it, it really doesn't make sense. So I've tried to educate a lot of my friends, and I've sent a few of them over your way. I hope you can.
Yeah.
But I think they're sort of starting to see, but there's something pulling them back into, buy something to live in, But when you really zoom out and look, okay, if you buy a place now and live in it for 30 years, what are you going to have? You're going to have that one place maybe paid off. Or if that money you use now and deployed into investments, the return would be, 10, 20, 30x possibly.
Yeah. In that amount of time frame.
Yeah. So really, I try. Yeah. I've been trying to tell as many people as I can because, people don't really understand it. So I would say, look, listen to people like yourself, people that come on here, they know and they've done it. So
it's I've put that down to a worldview, and the boomers have got their worldview and they kind of try and impart it onto the next generation. The market's very different, man. The economy is extremely different to what it was like when they were getting established and getting set up. And I do think this is the new way of getting ahead. Super only became a thing, I think, in the 80s or 90s, before that, the Australian stock market wasn't doing that much. And then bang, you add in compulsory super and then poof, the Australian stock market goes. And you add in the amount of migrants into this country that the government is adding in now without adding the supply of housing, poof, the property market goes. That's kind of this is the opportunity of our generation to get ahead. A lot of boomers love the stock market because they were buying stuff before super became mandatory in this country. And then bang, all of a sudden it does. And then all this institutional money comes in and it goes. But, I could talk to you for ages. Every time we do chat, it feels like we chat for ages. Is there anything else you want to mention to us? Or can you just tell us what are your goals with your property portfolio and why did you get into this all in the first place?
Yeah, so I guess the goals now are immediate goals are to move on the ones I can touch and feel, the ones in Cronulla, move them into other markets and eventually, continue to buy, I guess, continue to accumulate over the next few years. And then I guess the right move would be then to move into some commercial assets, keep some growth assets and that kind of thing. Nice. But yeah, eventually it is to, be able to be work optional. I will I think I'll always work. I love working. I'm a hustler. I like to say I'll retire young, but I'm working towards that. But if I don't think I will, but that's the kind of the goal, just to do what I want to do, work from wherever I want to work from. I love traveling. I want to go work somewhere else and be able to work from my laptop, and not be strapped somewhere and worried about, money.
Yeah, man, you inspire me when I talk to you and hang out with you. Like I only got into this stuff when I was 29. I'm 36 now. I've been doing this for 7 or so years, and you've been doing this stuff since you're 27, and it's inspiring to see you go so hard after it and do it. And what else? Anything else you wanna leave us with? Any nuggets of gold in that stash of yours?
Oh. I'm just trying to think what
there might be other nuggets.
Maybe, depends what day. Look, I mean, I would love to see, people around here and people that listen to your podcast start, take, a bit of something from this to, do it themselves, right? Like, I'm sure you probably speak to a lot of people, but they need to really, take the leap, trust the process. And this is, what I find is the process now, it's the way to go.
Tommy, you're a hustler. You're an action taker. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I'm looking forward to a dinner and something later tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to the Moves to Momentum podcast. If you got any value out of this episode, please give us a like or subscribe. Or if you think this is relevant to any one of your friends or family, please flick it to them so they can have a listen.